So, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of TV critics and Night Gallery fans criticized the third season, saying it was mostly bad scripts and bad directing, bad episodes. There were a few good ones, and we're going to talk about one of them today that was probably the closest Rod Serling got to the previous intention of the Twilight Zone series in Night Gallery format. And we're going to talk about rare objects. Now, why this is very significant, two of the biggest movie stars of the 1930s and 40s co-starred in this, including box office star Mickey Rooney and the great Canadian thespian Raymond Massey. Now, the plot of Rare Objects is very direct. Genoa Schwartz does a great job directing from the opening moment when you see a very strong establishing shot, which has gone down in TV history as one of his best. Starts as a close-up on a plate of pasta as a fork gathers a biteful, then pans up along with the hand holding the fork to the mouth that accepts the food. And as the scene unfolds, we see it's Mickey Rooney of all people. But Mickey Rooney looks the loneliest any character he's ever played on TV is in the scene. He's lonely as heck. Now, because of the isolation that Rooney is portraying, we know his character, Augie Collinsley, who's a mob boss, he's come to realization that his time may be up. He's been alone most of the last number of months and years, but being a gangster and being alone could work to his detriment because nobody's going to take up for him if something happens. Now Kolodny, basically, his realization comes quick. As soon as he finishes the meal, a mob hit becomes, and he almost gets killed. A bullet grazes his shoulder. Now he does find a doctor to treat him in the situation, and the doctor says that, you got high blood pressure, you got all these medical problems. Maybe it's time for you to get out, like you're saying. But I have a way to get you out. And he says, you know what? The doctor says, I know somebody that can help protect you if you want to retire. So he writes down the contact information, and the character played by Raymond Massey basically says it's called Dr. Glendon, and he lives in a massive house filled with hard to find and presumably quite expensive art and pottery collectibles, where the terminology comes in rare objects. Now, when the Rooney character finally meets him, Glendon explains the terms of his offer. He would live a long life without any worries of his enemies doing him harm. In exchange, Augie must surrender to Glendon everything he owns. A gentleman, Glendon pours Augie a glass of vintage wine to enjoy while he mulls over the offer. And of course, like any dramatic scene where you're offered a glass, something's more going on than meets the eye. Augie becomes groggy and suspects that Glendon has slipped him a Mickey. Glendon, assisted by a servant, helps Augie to his feet and leads him upstairs where he can say he can rest. Now, as they slowly ascend the stairs, Glendon explains that he didn't include something in Augie's wine, a potion that will add untold years to his life. But once on the second floor, Glendon can barely contain his glee as he begins to show the half out of a monster the incredible results of his hobby. A collection of people long presumed dead, including Amelia Earhart and even Adolf Hitler, behind bars and rooms which display them as if they were zoo animals. And Glendon basically says, this is what you wanted. You're never going to be hurt again, and you can live a long, long life. Now, as the episode wraps up, the story remains a close call for the Rooney character, but he's out, but he's not really out. There are some plot holes in this, but when it comes down to it, Mickey Rooney as a mobster can't really be taken seriously because it's like having Don Rickles as a top level mobster. It doesn't work. But having the excellence of Mickey Rooney, who could take any part, like the last night of a jockey in Twilight Zone, a very poorly written script, he made it his own. And then with Rare Object, just having Mickey Rooney in such a prestigious show with a very key role that I think Rod Serling wrote for him, and Genoa Schwartz really brought out the best in Rooney. I think it ranks up there as a 3.5 star out of 5. Again, only a half dozen episodes in third season were strong enough to say you could stand alone how strong season 2 was, which I think was the apex of the series. But as we know, as season 3 went along, NBC was giving it less and less support. But the reason why this stands out for me, because it's the closest I think the Night Gallery came to a pure Carlton comics or a Gold Key horror comic style. Very well acted, very well photographed. Raymond Macy could be difficult to work with, but here he gives a strong Raymond Macy performance. And overall, like I said, it stands up because it's typical early 1970s Alfred Hitchcock's Twilight Zone plot, and for that, it deserves a look. And like I said, season 3 always hit and miss, but he had more stars like Sally Field and Vincent Price and Bill Bixby and all that. And Raymond Massey, Mickey Rooney, more really strong guest stars, Burgess Meredith, but it didn't really. The bloom was off the rose, no pun intended. But the scene of Adolf Hitler, we finally find out where he ended up. It makes the episode itself, and kind of an unofficial sequel to the Escape Route pilot episode. If we really look at it, it is a sequel. So again, on this COVID Monday, everybody stay cool if you can. Heat wave throughout eastern Canada. Keep your stick in the ice. Have a good afternoon. Bye.